Hey guys, it's Jeremy here at Metal Music Meltdown, back with another video. Whatever today, guys, is another album ranking video. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I've been meaning to incorporate more of them into the channel. And moving forward, I want to try to kind of do one of these every week or two. I love going back and visiting bands I love, their whole discography. It's fun revisiting albums I haven't listened to in a while. And, trying to rank them in order can be challenging at times, but it's still always fun. And I figured what better band to tackle than the Mighty Testament. My favorite thrash band of all time and my second favorite overall band of all time, right behind Opeth. And formed in 1983, Berkeley, California. Initially called The Legacy and then switched their name over to Testament. Current lineup includes Eric Peterson on rhythm and lead guitars, Chuck Bailey on lead vocals, Alex Skolnick on lead and guitar, Steve DiGiorgio on bass, and currently Chris Dovas on drums. Pretty much a super group in my opinion. They're all super high tier level quality musicians, and Chuck Bailey's vocals are my favorite in thrash and ever. I think he's got the perfect voice for it. It's heavy, it's aggressive, but it's still, you can still hear his pronunciation. It's just, in my opinion, the perfect tone and style of vocal for a thrash. And no offense to Chris Dovas, he's a really good drummer. But when they had guys like Dave Lombardo and Gene Hoglan in the lineup, God, that's insane having that lineup. Like just so many talented people in a lineup, coming from all different areas of music and other bands and stuff. Like killer lineup. So let's jump right in, guys. There's 13 studio albums, technically 13 studio albums. I'm only doing 12 because I'm not including First Strike Still Deadly. That was essentially just 3 recordings of songs from the first 2 albums and 1 or 2 other tracks, I believe. So I'm only including the 12 studio albums that have original material. And when I went back through listening to my CDs, revisiting the catalog, I realized I don't have one of them on hard copy. I thought I had the whole discography, but for some reason I never got a copy of The Ritual. So I definitely have to correct that and pick up a copy soon. So let's jump right in, guys. At number 12, I went with 1997's album Demonic. I'm not sure if this is like a re-release on a different album or a different label, because the album cover is a little bit different than normally. It has like the image with the thing with the spikes coming out of it, but this is a little different. But Demonic 1997, when most bands were going more grunge and alternative sounding, trying to follow the trends. Fucking Testament went heavier, went death metal. I think they executed it pretty well. The only reason this is at the bottom of my list is because I just want to hear Testament doing what they do best, which is aggressive thrash and some melodic parts mixed in. I think they did this. I think they pulled it off pretty well, but I just prefer to hear Testament doing thrash more, in my opinion. And a disclosure, guys, before I continue, there's no bad albums in Testament's discography. Arguably, I think they have the best discography in all of metal. I love all their albums, so even if the ones that are near closer to the bottom, in my opinion, they're all 8 out of 10s or higher. In my opinion, they're all killer. At number 11, I went with the one I don't have. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. The Ritual. That was released in 1992. Really good album. It's got some really good songs on it, but I find it to be a little bit more on the melodic side, more mid-pace stuff, more mid-paced album. I prefer their more a blend of like their higher energy thrashy stuff with some melodic stuff, and mid-paced stuff as well is fine. I found this album to be more on the melodic side and not quite as thrashy, so I put it more to the bottom, and it's one I don't really go back to as much, and obviously because I thought I had it on CD but I don't, and it shows how much I don't really go back to it to put it on. At number 10, I went with one of their newer albums, Brotherhood of the Snake, which was released 2016. It's their second to last record. Really killer album still. Really cool artwork on this one. This was like the digipack. Most of the last couple albums have been all digipacks. But some really good stuff on here. The title track, The Pale King, Seven Seals, Burn in a Rut. Some really strong material on here. But from the newer stuff, since Formation of Damnation, and when they kind of came back after a number of years, I find this to be like the one I go back to the least out of them. That's why it's a little bit lower on my list, at number 10. At number 9, I went with Low. Was released in 1994. Pretty solid album. I really like it a lot. Title track's good. Hail Mary, Trail of Tears, Shades of War. Some really strong material on this one. Again, it's just an album I don't go back to as much. And I don't really have much else to say outside of that. It's a strong record. I listen to it from time to time, but just the ones I listen to more and I just kind of gravitate towards more. And at number 8, I went with one of their other kind of newer albums, Dark Roots of the Earth. Really killer album artwork on all their albums. I love most of their album covers are really sick. This one was, again, 2012, is the third to last album, with songs like Rise Up, Native Blood, Dark Roots of the Earth, the title track, True American Hate. Really good stuff on this album. Chuck Billy's voice sounds really good. It's got some good melodic leads in it. Looks like I need to replace the case on this one. It's kind of cracked. But a really strong record. Again, from the newer material, which is they put me out some really quality material. This is, again, just one I don't go back to quite as much as the two other ones that are kind of from the newer era. But a really solid album nonetheless. And at number, I'm losing track here, 7, I went with Souls of Black, which is from 1990. Super underrated album in my opinion. One of the best album covers too. I love the black and red two-tone. Really, really cool looking cover. This album, if it wasn't for the production, would definitely be higher on my list. This is arguably a top 3 album in terms of songs. Beginning of the End, Facing the Sky, Falling Fast. The title track is fucking killer. Crazy riffs on the title track. I find the production on this album is so thin and just sounds kind of like I said, thin and light. It really takes away from the songs. When you hear those songs live, they're fucking killer. The song quality's here, but the production kills it for me. If the production was more beefy and heavy, this would definitely be a top 3 or 4 album for me, I think. It's just a really good album, but the production kills it. And at number 6, I went with Practice What You Preach. There's always mixed reviews on this album. This is one of my favorite covers as well. Really cool artwork on this one. A lot of people either really love this album, like top 3, or I find a lot of people have this at the bottom. So for me, it is kind of in the middle. Title track is all-time classic Testament song. There's some good gems on this album. Like a lot of people say just the title track is good, but other people, like I said, think it's really, really good, or people have it near the bottom of their discography. But just some really good stuff on here. Envy Life, Blessed in Contempt, sorry. Some really good tracks in here, one I do go back to quite often, and definitely one of their best album covers as well. Killer stuff. At number 5, I went with the latest, Titans of Creation. Really cool artwork again. They always have good artwork. This again, the Digipack, they've been going kind of that route lately. And released in 2020. They should be due for an album hopefully this year or next year, so I'm really dying for that. Children of the Next Level, World War III, Dream Deceiver, Night of the Witch, just some really good stuff on here. I still listen to this a lot. This might be a little bit higher on my list because it's a newer album and it's a higher rotation for me, so it kind of gravitates it towards it a little bit more for that reason. But it's a really strong album. From the newer material, it's definitely one of my favorites easily, and had to be on my list near the top. At number 4, I went with The Formation of Damnation. Really good album. This was released in 2008. They had a kind of a gap for 7 years where they didn't put anything out. And then 2001, they had the First Strike Still Deadly, but like I said, I don't really consider that really an album. So they had like almost a 9-year gap between original material. Killer comeback album. Probably one of the best in history. For the Glory of All, More Than Meets the Eye, The Evil Has Landed, the title track. Just some really good stuff on this album. It's fucking heavy, super thrashy, great guitar riffs. Chuck Billy's vocals are insane. It's so deep. I think his voice gets better when he gets older. It's just a really, really good album. Almost went a little bit higher on my list, but the other albums are just so good. I had to put it a little bit lower. Number 3, I went with the debut album, The Legacy. Come on, guys, with like songs like Over the Wall, First Strike is Deadly, Raging Waters, Burn Offerings, The Haunting. Just some really killer stuff on this album. It's so raw and heavy and thrashy. One of the best thrash debuts of all time, right up there with Kill 'Em All, Show No Mercy, you know, all the classics. Really strong album, really good stuff. At number 2, I went with The Gathering, 1999. Super heavy album as well. This one had Dave Lombardo on it from Slayer. Really showed his influence, the heaviness. Really cranked them up a notch in terms of the aggression. I think this might have been my introduction to the band. For some reason, Testament was a band I got into later on. I was a little bit in my early 20s, I think, when I first discovered them. And I think the first song on this DNR, Do Not Resuscitate, was the first song I ever heard from Testament. And I fell in love right away. Picked up most of the material pretty quickly afterwards. And I've been in love with this band ever since. Really good album. With songs like DNR, Down for Life, Eyes of Wraith, Wrath Story, True Believer, 3 Days in Darkness. Whole album top to bottom is really, really strong and just really killer stuff. And guys, at number 1, this has been my favorite Testament album for quite a while. The New Order, their sophomore album from 1988. This album is just kicks ass. It could be a greatest hits album. It's so good. There's just so many classic thrash anthems on here, like Into the Pit, Trial by Fire, the title track, and Disciples of the Watch. Fucking beast of a track. They play like 4 or 5 songs in this album religiously in their set, even to this day. And there's a reason for it, because the songs just kick a whole lot of ass. They're just like classics from the band and classic thrash out anthems in general. Always been my number 1 album from these guys. Killer stuff. So that's my ranking, guys. Let me know how you rank the Testament albums down below in the comments. What's your favorite, least favorite, and why? And like I said, really killer band. Also list down below any bands you want me to do that I haven't done already. Check out my playlist. I've tackled a few bands like Metallica. I've done Slayer, I believe, Opeth, the Beatles. I've done a few of them already, but Soundgarden, I think, Havoc. I've done quite some bands already, but definitely check out my playlist and leave some comments down below of some bands you want me to check out and do a rating for next. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope to incorporate more of these into my channel coming up. And until next time, guys, keep it metal.